In this film, Mina gets lost in that forest and finds a cabin where 3 people live because they cannot leave the place. They have to follow some rules to survive in that place, from the mysterious creatures living there. Keep watching to know what those creatures are and why these people are living here being scared of such creatures. A man is running through a dark forest in Ireland, looking very scared. He sees many signs with the words "point of no return," which tells about distance and directions to an unknown place. Even after these warnings, he cannot find his way out. The forest gets darker, and a flock of birds flies overhead. The man falls into a pit, and is soon grabbed by an invisible force that pulls him away. In another part of Ireland, an artist named Mina works at a pet store. One day, her boss, Peter, asks her to deliver a rare parrot to a house deep in the Irish forest, and Mina accepts the task as she needs the extra money. She takes the parrot home for the night and speaks to it about her mother, who died 15 years ago. Surprisingly, the bird starts to talk back. That evening, Mina puts on a wig and goes to a bar, introducing herself with a fake name, Ballerina. The following day, she apologizes to the parrot for her behavior, expressing self-doubt about her real self. She starts her journey, and on the way she gets a call from her sister, Lucy, who reminds her that she has a sister and nieces who love her. Mina continues to drive, and finds herself on a road from where an old and dark forest starts. Her car suddenly breaks down, and her phone stops working. Mina steps out to get help but finds no one. When she is thinking about what to do, she hears a scream, which is unlike a human scream. It is more like the scream of a horror creature. She went to the back of her car with the parrot cage and covered herself in the hope that no one would notice her. After walking for a while, she saw a distant cabin, and a woman was standing at the door, screaming and shouting at Mina to run fast toward the cabin. The woman, named Malene, orders her to come inside quickly if she wants to live. Mina rushes inside and meets Malene, who has been living there with 2 other young people, Sierra and Daniel. As soon as the door is locked with its many locks, Mina can hear the same screams that she heard the other night. She finds herself in a room with a wall of glass and a light that comes on at night when the watchers come above ground to observe the humans. And terrible things might happen to anyone who doesn't reach the bunker in time. Malene tells Mina to stand in front of the mirror because the watchers can only observe from outside. As Mina stands by the mirror, she hears clapping, which Malene says is the watcher's way of acknowledging a new person. The 3 new people explain that to survive the night, they must stay in the light in the glass room, which is visible from outside, where the terrifying shape-shifting creatures that dwell in the forest may observe them, but won't break the glass to come inside. These creatures copy the appearances of the group and take the form and face of each person in the cabin. The next morning, Mina says she wants to leave, but the others tell her it is impossible. Malene explains that the forest makes people see things that are not real, but survival is possible. The signs that are there throughout the forest mark the boundary from which one must reach the cabin before dark. A man named the Professor made these signs, and no one knows where he is now. That night, Daniel puts on a show for the watchers, presenting Mina as the newcomer. The watchers request her to behave normally, while Sierra dances to music as she does every evening. Mina finds discs with recordings of TV shows about searching for love. The following day, she and Sierra go to get some herbs. Sierra explains that her husband went missing while searching for a way out, leaving her to care for Daniel. Malene announces safety rules. Never leave at night, never open the doors for anyone, and always stay in the light. Days become the same, and Mina spends her time watching TV shows and staring into the mirror. One day, she knocks on the mirror and immediately hears a knock on the door. Malene orders everyone to freeze. The next day, Mina and Daniel go hunting. Daniel reveals that Malene used to work at a university and thinks she knows everything. He has been in the cabin for 8 months, but has never seen anyone else. Mina convinces Daniel to help her explore a burrow using a rope. Inside, she finds old things like toys, pieces of electronics, newspapers, and an old bicycle. She sends the bike up, but she hears weird echoes from the darkness, so she climbs up the burrow quickly. They look at the items and think about using the bicycle to escape, but Malene reacts strangely. Meanwhile, Daniel sets up a camera from the electronics they found to watch the door. That night, Sierra dances as usual, and when there's a knock on the door, Daniel says it may be a person. Even though Malene says not to open the door, they hear Sierra's husband's voice. Sierra tries to verify his identity if he is real, but he fails to answer an important question. The voice begs for help, and when asked to look into the camera, something drags the person into the forest. The knocking on the mirror intensifies, but Malene stands in front of it, shielding everyone. The knocking stops. In the morning, Malene throws the bicycle into the burrow and warns everyone not to break the rules again. Mina remembers a car accident where her mother died because of her actions, and she still feels guilty for it. As winter came, days became shorter, nights colder and food scarce, leading to many arguments. One day, Sierra goes out and Mina goes to her. Sierra says she thinks her husband's voice was real. Then they go back to the cabin, hearing Daniel's screams. Lanky, spider-like monsters, the Watchers are near the cabin. Mina and Malene hide, waiting for the creatures to leave before begging to be let inside. Daniel refuses, and Mina says he will feel guilty like her over causing someone's death, and makes him understand the burden of causing others' deaths. The doors open, and they all stand in front of the mirror to convince the Watchers they are in place. Malene admits that she was not telling them the whole truth. She reveals that she used to teach history and mythology, and came to the forest herself. She saw an old version of herself at sunset. The Watchers are an ancient species known by various names, such as the Watchers or fairies, that study people to impersonate them. They will never let anyone leave. The voices of the cabin's inhabitants are heard outside. Daniel finds a hidden hatch leading to a coop with food and equipment. Mina discovers an old computer and a video recording of the professor, Rory K. Martin, who studied the Watchers. He built the bunker using men from nearby villages, often those whose disappearances wouldn't be noticed. He tried to talk with a unique Watcher, a red-haired girl, hoping to unlock the secrets of the fairies and even conquer death. Eventually, the professor admitted his failure and planned to end his life, leaving behind a hidden boat as the only way out. The group tries to escape by following the signs and Mina's parrot. They reach a big stone disc, covering a tunnel entrance. Malene explains that this is where the last representatives of the ancient fairy race were locked up. These fairies, once friendly with humans, are now filled with hatred. As they follow the signs and birds, they reach a river. Daniel hears screams, mistakenly thinking it's someone familiar, but it's a changeling. The women beg Daniel to run, but he doesn't hear, and the Watcher kills him. Malene, Mina, and Sierra sail down the river and return to civilization. Mina goes to the university where Professor Martin worked, posing as his niece to enter his office. She finds documents, photos, and a recording showing the professor's belief in half-blood fairy children. Mina discovers that Malene is a special fairy capable of moving during the day, taking on forms to return to civilization. Confronted by a changeling, Mina convinces it to spare her by acknowledging the unfairness of humans banishing fairies. The fairy softens and flies away. Mina later reunites with her twin sister Lucy, finally forgiving herself for their mother's death. She tells her family about her experiences and notices Malene's form appearing in others. Meanwhile, a girl with red hair, likely a fairy, watches their apartment. This shows that the Watchers are present everywhere in day-to-day life.